key finally turned in the old lock. I pushed the heavy wooden door and stepped into my grandfather's cabin. The air was cold and smelled of dust and old wood. White sheets covered the chairs and table, making them look like quiet ghosts in the dim light. A ladder led up to a dark sleeping loft. The only sound was the thumping of my own heart. I dropped my bag by the door, happy to be out of the growing dark of the woods. I thought I was alone. I walked to the big stone fireplace to make a fire. As I bent down, I saw deep scratches on the hearthstone. I wiped away the dust. They were tally marks, group after group of 5 little lines. Someone had been counting days here. A chill ran down my spine. I didn't make these. My grandpa would never have carved up his own fireplace. A loud thump from the loft above made me jump. "Hello," I called out, my voice shaky. Silence answered. "It's just an animal," I told myself. A raccoon in the attic. But the sound didn't fit. It was too heavy. I tried to ignore it and went to the kitchen to find a glass. The old faucet squeaked, but only a trickle of rusty water came out. Then, from under the sink, I heard a soft knock. Knock, knock, knock. I froze. That was no raccoon. I decided to leave. The cabin was making me nervous. I turned to grab my bag, but the front door was already closed. I was sure I had left it open. I grabbed the handle and pulled. It didn't move. I twisted the lock and pulled harder. The door was stuck shut, like something was holding it from the outside. My breath came in short puffs in the cold air. I fumbled for my phone in my pocket. The screen was black. It wouldn't turn on, even though I had charged it for the whole car ride. A soft, scraping sound started above me. It was the sound of something heavy being slowly dragged across the loft floor. My eyes were glued to the top of the ladder. The whispering began a moment later. It was low and fast, like 2 people having a frantic argument I couldn't quite understand. I stood, frozen in the middle of the room, as one of the white sheets over a nearby armchair began to twitch, then slowly slid off, as if pulled by an invisible hand, and crumpled to the floor. Panic took over. I needed a weapon. I remembered the old fire axe mounted on the wall near the fireplace. I took a step towards it. A freezing cold breath touched the back of my neck. The whispering was suddenly right in my ear. It was clear now, a single hissed word. Mine. I screamed and stumbled forward, grabbing the axe from its hooks. It felt heavy and solid in my hands. I turned, swinging it wildly in the empty air behind me. The whispering stopped. The room was silent again. I ran to the nearest window, raised the axe, and swung it at the glass. The axe head bounced off the pane with a loud clang, not leaving a single scratch. It was like hitting solid rock. From the loft, a low laugh echoed. It was a dry, horrible sound. I looked up and saw a pale, long-fingered hand curl over the edge of the loft opening. It wasn't human. It was too white, its fingers too thin and jointed. It began to pull itself up, and I saw a head of matted black hair start to rise into view. I didn't wait to see its face. I turned and ran to the small bathroom at the back of the cabin, slamming the flimsy door shut and locking it. I pressed my back against the door, my whole body shaking. The doorknob began to jiggle. Then a gentle tapping started on the other side of the wood. Tap, tap, tap. It was the same rhythm as the knocking from under the sink. It was followed by that same cold whisper, sliding under the door. Let me in. I knew the door wouldn't hold. My eyes darted around the tiny bathroom and landed on a small, high window above the toilet. It was my only chance. I climbed onto the toilet seat, my legs trembling. I pushed the window open, the cold night air blasting into my face. I squeezed my shoulders through the narrow opening, kicking and scrambling to pull myself out. I fell onto the damp ground outside, gasping. I didn't look back. I ran into the dark woods. branches whipping my face. I didn't stop until I reached my car, fumbling with the keys before finally starting the engine. As I sped down the dirt road, my headlights swept across the tree line. For a single, terrifying second, they lit up a pale, thin figure standing between the trees, watching me go. It wasn't in the cabin anymore. It was outside, and I knew, with a sickening certainty, that the tally marks on the hearthstone weren't counting the days it had been there. They were counting the days until someone like me came back.